Hey folks, James Abrinio coming to you from Abrinio Cho, your Northern Virginia personal injury and criminal defense law firm. I want to take a second to do a quick video because I got a call from somebody recently who's close to me and gave me a scenario where we're probably all guilty of. He was backing out of a parking lot space and ended up hitting a vehicle behind of him. Doesn't sound like he caused much damage, but he's asking, what are my obligations? And he was here in Virginia. So in Virginia, we have a very specific framework about what you're required to do if you hit what we call unattended property. So a parked car, essentially. And before we get into that, I do want to focus on if you cause damage or you cause a crash or you're involved in a crash where a person is involved, so a attended vehicle. So let's say you're driving down the road and you sideswipe somebody, make sure you stop and give your information, your contact information, and make sure you stop to wait for law enforcement to get there if they need to be there. Make sure you also provide help if you can, if it's physically safe. If you cause an accident or if you're involved in an accident where you knew or should have known somebody was injured and you leave the scene, that is a felony. So don't play games there. Do the right thing. If you have insurance, if you've been watching this video and you're properly insured, you shouldn't have to worry because you got a lot of insurance. And also, you just want to do the right thing because if somebody might have been hurt, you want to keep them safe, and you always want to keep other drivers on the road safe. But this video is focused on hitting unattended property. So let me pull up the statute that we're going to be looking at because Virginia has very specific duties under Virginia Code Section 46.2-896, duties of a driver in the event of accident involving damage only to unattended property. So we're talking typically parked cars, but you hit a Jersey wall or you hit the side of a business wall, I guess that counts as well, but we're really talking about parked cars here. So it lays it out. Driver of any vehicle involved in an accident in which no person is killed or injured, but in which an attended vehicle or other attended vehicle, unattended property is damaged, shall make reasonable effort to find the owner or custodian of the property and shall report the owner or custodian the information which is required to report under Virginia Code Section 46.2-894, which we'll take a look in a moment, the specific details of what you have to report. But assuming you get the details right, so if you can find them, then give them the information required. If you can't find them, and this statute contemplates that if the owner or custodian of such damaged vehicle or property cannot be found, the driver shall leave a note or sufficient information, including driver identification and contact information, in a conspicuous place at the scene of the accident, and shall report the accident in writing 24 hours to the state police. So this lays out what you should be doing if you can't find the owner. So driver shall leave a note or other sufficient information, including driver identification and contact information, in a conspicuous place at the scene of the accident, and shall report the accident within 24 hours to state police or local law enforcement. So what does that mean from a practical standpoint? If you hit a parked car, leave a note with your contact information, put it under their under the windshield wipers so it's easy for them to find. Make sure that you use very legible writing. Make sure that you provide your name. I would probably provide your cell phone number so they can invite them to either call it or text it. Probably text it, make it easier. That way it's in writing. And your email address. That way they've got an alternate way to contact you and make sure those information is legible and you use them so you know that they're valid and you will be waiting if you get communicated with. But it also requires you to contact your local law enforcement. So I live in Braddock, Fairfax, Burke area, Braddock district. I'd probably just call my the Fairfax Braddock district non-emergency number and just provide them details of the accident in writing. And so it also provides what information you shall report in writing to law enforcement. So the written report shall include state the date, time, and place of the accident and the driver's description of the property damage. So that's pretty detailed about what you should be providing. And sorry, let me pull this up so you can see that. But what I would do is I would call them up and say, look, I need a place to send an email and to send a photograph. And I make sure that I would take photographs of the actual damage that was caused. Number one, so you have that documented, but number two, so they can't later, say, "Oh, you owe me $100,000 or whatever." That way, you've got it objectively identified. I would even probably do a little video. You got your cell phone, do some photographs, do a video, and then send that information to law enforcement when you provide that notice in writing. So very specific. This doesn't take a lot of effort. It's kind of common sense thing, doing the right thing. So hopefully this information is useful. But also let's look at this referenced 46.2-894. Let's look at that statute. Just a quick reminder. So this statute deals with if you are involved in an accident, injury, or death to attended property, meaning you hit a vehicle with somebody else in it. And so in there, you're required shall stop immediately as close to the scene as possible without obstructing traffic, and report name, address, driver's license number, vehicle registration to the state police, local law enforcement, to the person's truck if it appears that they're capable of understanding that information, or other occupants. So you want to give that information as well. And then it also requires you also render reasonable assistance to any person involved in such accident, including talking to such person, taking such person to a physician, surgeon, or hospital if it's apparent that the medical treatment is necessary. So you've also got additional obligations if you are involved in an accident involving another person. And want to be clear, okay, well, here's the penalties. Any person convicted of violation of this section is guilty of Class 5 felony if the accident results in injury or death, or if the accident results in more than $1,000 of damage to property. If it's $1,000 or less, then it's a misdemeanor. So that also distinguishes the difference between the felony and the misdemeanor. So you can even be charged with a felony if you hit a parked car with nobody in it, if it caused more than $1,000 of damage. So look, at the end of the day, I always tell people, do the right thing. The right thing does not require you to go and confess everything to law enforcement and not ask for an attorney. The right thing does include you sticking around when it comes to if there's somebody injured, doing the right thing, giving your information, helping if at all possible. And again, you don't have to confess to law enforcement about you causing the crash and all those kinds of things. You can always assert your fifth, but you can assert your fifth and still provide your insurance information, your contact information, calling law enforcement, getting them to a hospital if they need to get to the hospital when it's involved in an injury, accident, or unattended property, making sure that they have your contact information, your insurance information. And this goes along with what I always tell people: make sure you're properly insured. If you're properly insured, doing the right thing is a lot easier. Because if you've got $1 million in liability coverage and you messed up somebody's, Tesla or whatever, even if it might be expensive, you got the coverage, so you're not paying a whole lot out of pocket, maybe deductible. And if you do the right thing and you get your insurance involved, and you are properly covered, then, look, things happen. That's the reason you have insurance. Don't make a bad situation worse by trying to run and then facing criminal liability. Look, you may get away with it. A lot of times you probably will get away with it, but life is too short to be running. So hope this helps. Wish you guys the best.